All right, so everybody that's listening, if you're listening to us on one of the podcasting sites, thanks so much. Please subscribe, like, and share. If you're listening to us on one of the 20 radio stations that does carry our program, first of all, thank you for listening. And again, please tell your family, your friends that you're listening to us so we can get more people that listen to our program, whatever day or time frame that you're listening to us. We greatly appreciate it. We have a special guest who is a singer. He also is very big in this tour company in Orlando at Disney. It is certified through Disney. It is Michael's VIP, a tour company. You can follow him at the Joey Mazzant. It's Mazzant on Instagram, on YouTube and TikTok. It is just Joey Mazzant. And again, it's Mazzant. Joey, thanks so much for coming on to talk about your music career, Disney in general, and what you guys do. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much, bro. It's great to be here. Thank you for the love, and thank you for pronouncing my last name right. Clearly, you're one of the Italians.
I am Italian.
I know my own.
We definitely know that song and dance about how to pronounce those type of names. But we'll kick this around. So, I know you grew up in Pittsburgh. Can you talk about growing up in Pittsburgh and what made you want to go down to Orlando and jump into the tour business and even the singing realm too?
Absolutely. So if you've never been to Pittsburgh, 3 months out of the year, the weather's gorgeous. The other 9 months out of the year, it might as well be Alaska, Canada, or Michigan, somewhere snowy and just there. So I woke up one morning, I was 21 years old, and I said, you know what I'm never going to do ever again in my life? I'm never going to shovel a driveway or scrape a windshield. So I jumped in my car, I packed my bags, I drove 14 and a half hours south. I came to Orlando, Florida, and I took a job performing at Disney. And I've been here ever since, 21 years now. I've actually been in Florida longer than I've been in Pittsburgh this year.
Wow. So talk about that performing job before we get into more about your journey to Orlando.
Well, it's you know how it is when you're 5'7" and Italian. Sports aren't usually an option unless you're a phenomenal soccer player. But we're
listen, I'm the same game. I'm 5'7" and Italian too, so we're at the same height, the same wavelength. But
there
we'll move forward.
So you figure if you can't be athletic, you can still be entertaining, and that's where we come in. Your radio, my music career. I've been playing piano for 36 years. I was lucky enough that I found a career performing down here. Fast forward to, of course, theme park life, work, and then the American Idol experience. And that was where Michael found me. And then I've, of course, I jumped over to the Hard Rock Cafe. I was the memorabilia docent for Hard Rock International, one of only about 6 in the world. From there, what would happen is have you ever been to the Hard Rock Cafe in Orlando, Florida?
Yeah, over at Universal City.
Yes, sir. So it is one of the 10 biggest restaurants in the world. It has 1,100 seats. That's a lot of cheeseburgers. And it is the biggest Hard Rock in the world. And of course, when you're that size, it actually has a concert hall attached to it.
Yeah.
So my job was to pick up people that would it was fun. Someone would be sitting at a table and they would look up and say, "Oh my gosh, is that Slash's guitar from Guns N' Roses?" And my ears would perk up and I'd go, "Not only is that Slash's guitar from Guns N' Roses, if you'll watch," and I could pick songs to put on the video, I'd say 3, 2, 1, check that out. That is actually Slash's guitar from the November Rain music video. And they'd lose their mind. And at that point, I would pick that family up and I would take them on a tour of the building and show them the VIP suites. Elvis had a room. John Lennon had a room. So it was really, it was one of the greatest jobs I ever had in my life. And what would happen is about 3 to 5 times a week, I would see the same 7 or 8 people, and they would be taking people, what looked like tour guides. And I noticed they didn't look anything like the family they were with. And so they would come into the restaurant and they would say, "Hey, Joey, it's I'm with a family today. Can you do that thing where you take us on tour?" And I was like, "Hey, so what is it that you do that 3 to 5 times a week you can come to this restaurant, eat a cheeseburger, take a tour, and obviously not pay a dime?" And they say, "Oh, well, I'm a tour guide. I work for Michael's VIPs." And I was, "Let's talk about that." And, fast forward to, they said, "You should meet my boss, Michael Huel. He owns the company." And one day he came in and he said, "Oh my gosh, you must be Joey. Every one of my guides talks about you all the time. Apparently, if you go to Universal Studios, you have to eat lunch at this restaurant. You have to meet this Joey that I keep hearing about." So I took him on a tour. And after the tour, he goes, I'm offering you a raise. And I was like, to do what? And he's like, you're going to come work for me. You're going to take families on tours. It's kind of like what you do in this building, but it's for the entire city of Orlando. And I was like, I don't know. They're pretty good to me. And he's like, whatever they pay you, I'll triple it. And I was like, I'll see you tomorrow.
Now, this was before the Idol experience, or what?
This was during, actually. It was funny. I was working at the Hard Rock at the time. And the American Idol experience, for anybody who knows, I miss this about Disney. I miss, as an annual pass holder, you know, we keep going back because we like variety. Things like Buzz Lightyear, Space Ranger, Toy Story Midway Mania, you know, at Universal Men in Black. It's never the same ride twice. And that's what we like as variety. So the annual pass holders used to love. There was this thing. Do you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Live?
Yes, where Toy Story Midway Mania was.
Yes, sir. That was a blast because as an annual pass holder, you got to be a part of the attraction. You got to go in, and if you were lucky enough to get selected, you got to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And that was fun for us. And then I got rid of it. But they gave us the American Idol experience. So I go in one day. Again, it was something you do on a day off. You're at Hollywood Studios. You're having a drink at 50's Primetime Cafe at the Tune-In Lounge. And you, after a little bit of liquid courage, you stumble over to the American Idol experience. And I sing a song. And the guy goes, all right, I don't want to ruin anything. I'm not trying to what are you doing tomorrow at 10 a.m.? And I said, I don't know why. He goes, we want you to be in the show. And I was like, well, I'm here now. Isn't it? Can you come back tomorrow at 10 a.m.? We'll give you 6 tickets for anybody you want. I said, can you tell me why? He goes, I can't. But can you be here at 10 a.m. tomorrow? I said, okay. He goes, you look exactly like a guy who was on the show. And that's all I can tell you. I'm like, okay.
Can we just stop the story quickly? Because I just want to backtrack. So you went, just to clarify for the audience, you went in the Primetime Cafe, you had a little bit of a drink, then went into, for people that don't know, because obviously the experience is gone, Frozen is in there, the sing-along celebration. I have mixed reviews. I know a lot of people that work in there. I like them. Some of the people were from Idol, but you know, Ben, who used to work in there, I'm sure you personally know, left in 2020. He was kind of the fan favorite there. There's very few men in those roles now that are as good as Ben or even close. Regardless of that, so you would go around where those bathrooms are near Star Tours, make that turn to the right where you can meet right now Mickey and Minnie there now, where Sorcerer Mickey is now, and you can go in there. That's where the American Idol experience was. So you went in there, and did you audition, or did they already pick you out? How did that all play out? Start from there.
So what was a shame about this attraction, and I didn't know this, I like karaoke. So it was pitched to me by a buddy who says, hey man, you want to go sing some karaoke? I said, yeah, let's go do it. When you go through the audition process, you walk into a room and they make you watch a video and you hear the, man, hey guys, I'm Ryan Seacrest and you chose to be a part of the American Idol experience. You're going to go, and they pitch you a little 2-minute video, and then you go down and you sing in front of a, air quote, casting director. And the casting director listens to you sing karaoke for 2 bars or 8 bars or 16 bars, whatever it is. And then they go, if they like you, they hit a button and you look behind them and it's Ryan Seacrest going, well, it looks like you made it through to the next round. You're going to be in one of our exciting shows. And then you go and you sing, and your callback time is, and then it's like 10 a.m. Your callback time is 12:15 p.m. And so you come back, you sing, and it's you and 2 other people. And it was adorable. I don't want to make fun of it. I'm comedically making it generic, but it was very cute. You know, one of the singers, of course, would call like a family member and they would say something. One of the singers, they would actually interview people in the audience and they would say their name. And one of the singers would have like no backstory until the next round. So the show was clever. The people in the show were actual singers. I remember one of the guys used to be one of the game show hosts for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. One of the guys was one of the male singers in Festival of the Lion King. You know what I mean? So
about Jim Braswell, the black guy.
Yes, sir. That guy is. Yeah. That man has more talent than any 3 people I know that play guitar in any band. Like that dude is. I don't know how he's not famous by now. He should be on Broadway, but
he's actually teaching in Orlando drama at somewhere down in Orlando. And actually, the host that I believe was in doing the show that you were in with
he's a tour guide for Disney now.
He was with WWE for a while.
That's right. Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
sir.
I don't want to give away all the details before we
No, no,
start
no, it's
the story,
okay.
so I'll let you proceed.
This isn't the Wizard of Oz. We're not peeling behind the curtain. The all-powerful Oz isn't a balding white guy from 1938. It's okay. So what happens is you do the show, and then after, if you win, you get the golden ticket. And what that golden ticket, no, I'm sorry, you get like a pink ticket. And that ticket means you get to come back at the end of the day, and all the winners sing. And whoever the winner of the winners are, they give you a golden ticket, and it gives you a fast pass, dated reference, to the front of the line at an actual American Idol audition. So you take that, you go to the actual audition. It doesn't guarantee you anything. It just means you don't have to sit with the 4,000 soccer moms that are up there pretending they need their big break. You get to go up, you sing, people clap, you leave. You can be at the Starbucks by 9:30 a.m. So it's cool. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. But again, that's what it was. So what happened for me, they said, we want you to come back the next day, but we can't tell you why. So I came back the next day, and it's funny, actually. I have the facial hair is kind of cleaned up. For anybody who's got the visual, on more than one occasion, I have been mistaken for Chris Daughtry. Go back a decade, I didn't pay for a drink for a solid 3 years because people thought I was Chris Daughtry. He is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. I was working at the Hard Rock the year he was on Idol, and I'll never forget my manager at the time. He goes, "Hey, you got a celebrity coming in. Really do the tour." I said, "Okay." And the door opens up, and there he is, in like something out of a 1970s Looney Tunes cartoon. He looks at me, I look at him. He turns his head, so I turn my head. He turns his head, so I turn my head. He puts his hand up, and I go to give him like a high five, and he's like looking in a mirror, ain't it? What a night. Just a great guy. I'm still friends with his guitar player to this day, Mike Sanchez. Great guy. But again, that was fun. So they asked me to come back for American Idol the next day. And out on the stage comes Lee DeWise, the guy who actually won American Idol that year. Grace and dignity. This dude was so cool. He comes out, walks on the stage, kind of gives everybody a high five. But then the video is, you can see it. He shakes my hand, and for a solid 90 seconds, we just start talking about tattoos. If you look at all the pictures I have posted, he's pointing to his arm, I'm pointing to mine. I'm talking about why I got this, and he's talking about why we got that, to the point where they actually had to take him by the arm and say, "You can talk about ink later. Come on, we got to go." And he's pulling him aside, and he's like, "Okay." I told him, I'm like, "Hey, man, if you stick around, let's go have a drink." We were supposed to go over to Mama Melrose and have a drink. And he's like, "I'm sorry, man, I got to go." And I'm like, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I got to jump on a plane. I'm going to do Larry King in 5 minutes." I'm like, "Oh, wow. Okay, then I'll see you later, bro." So to this day, I have a standing drink appointment with Lee DeWise that over a decade later, we still haven't been able to meet up for that beer, but I won't hold him to it. He's a lot busier than me.
So did you know Lee DeWise was going to be there when you were on the stage? I mean, how did that all play out? No.
Nothing. They left me completely in the dark about it. I had no idea why, and I guess it was just because they didn't want people to swarm the auditorium. You got to remember, if you go back a decade, even now American Idol's big, but if you go back 10 years, that was the biggest show in primetime television. So people watched it. And with the American Idol experience being in, I believe it was MGM Studios at the time. It might have been Hollywood Studios. I'd have to do my homework.
They started 2009, so I think it was Hollywood at that.
It was Hollywood Studios. Okay.
In 2008, right?
Yeah. And yeah, so it was but it was cool. And so I get why they didn't do it, because imagine you're the biggest celebrity of the evening, potentially of the week, of the month, of the who knows. Yeah. And the next day you're in a public place where people can meet you. I'm imagining Disney said, "Well, this park only holds 66,000 people. We don't want them all swarming an attraction that only has 180 seats or 280 seats, whatever. You know what I mean?" So, and I think the problem with that attraction is, I get it. If you live down here in Orlando, Florida, and you want your golden ticket, if the auditorium, let's say it holds 400 people and you need a third of the votes, as long as you have 150 friends that are showing up, you got your golden ticket. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get it. It's the proverbial stuffing the ballot box, and they were trying to get away from that. But I really do wish ABC would come out with a television show that was friendly to the audience, because I think they're missing that element. That was Walt's vision. Walt's vision was three things: the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, which is your experimental prototype community of tomorrow, and Disney Studios, which, again, he passed away. Michael Eisner took over. Six Flags already had Warner Brothers. Universal was Universal. They kind of had to grab what studios were left, and MGM was one of the only ones that was in the forefront. So they had their three entities. And the premise of MGM Studios was supposed to be an actual working Disney movie studio where you could watch TV and you could watch movies. And unfortunately, we don't have either of those things there. It's a shame, really.
And my thing is, we spoke about this off air that, as far as that goes, that experience was different all the time. You'd have a lot of bad singers. You'd have a lot of really good singers. There was multiple times where they had people in there that made it to the show that got to the top 4, the top 10, the top 20, a lot of people. It wasn't just like one or two. And they would show those people sometimes on the screen, as far as that goes. I remember speaking to one of the judges. Yeah, and they told me, they said, listen, 20 people from that season made it to the top 25. They said, that's incredible. So the problem is now they have no attractions there, as you stated, with Millionaire, with Idol, that it was always different. Now there's nothing. It's the same Frozen show. The rides are the same for the most part. I know, you can do different things on, as you said, Midway Mania and Buzz Lightyear over in Magic Kingdom. There's a couple other rides like that. But as far as studios, my problem is that they really made it into a place where, as Universal Orlando, I explained to you earlier before we started recording, they just plop things just all over the place. There's no kind of cohesion of where
there's no continuity whatsoever.
Right. So
you nailed it.
Yeah. So it's disgraceful, really, because again, Hollywood Studios was supposed to be a place where it was about the movies. The Great Movie Ride, all they had to do was update it. They ended up buying all these different movies and stuff after they closed it. The same thing, and I'll shut up in just a second, the same thing with Idol. It's now on ABC. What does Disney own? ABC. They could easily bring that back. It's just a total joke. Again, all this stuff happened after they closed these rides and attractions down. They could easily find places. Disney has tons of land left. What they did, and I'll shut up again with this, is they put Star Wars Land, and I know that was a big money game, but they did lose a lot of money because the hotel is done now. It's kaput.
We just talked about this on, there's a show here in Orlando that I'm on called A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan. Okay. And it's a monthly bit where I go in and I talk about what's going on in the theme parks this month. And we talked about that Star Wars hotel. The problem is it wasn't a Star Wars hotel. It was a cruise themed hotel with Star Wars nodes. And that's where they dropped the ball. People assume they're going on the Star Wars hotel and it's going to be all Star Wars all the time. One of the things you did was intergalactic line dancing. They did intergalactic Star Wars bingo. They did a show that nobody watched, a bar that had an $1,800 martini, and a bunch of dads that said, wait, why isn't there a pool? So that was doomed to fail, and they knew it. I want to believe it was a $200 million tax write-off, if I read the right article.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Joey,
Uncle
my
Sam
thing
didn't
was,
get his.
though, with that hotel, I agree with all the stuff that you just spoke about, but $7,000, $5,000 on, for 2 nights. I mean, in this kind of economy, who the hell can afford these, that kind of hotel? You could stay at the Marriott or the Hilton or
the Four
a regular
Seasons, bro.
Disney hotel, the Four Seasons, correct? Yeah. Or even a regular Disney hotel. I mean, this is a joke. Just because it had some Star Wars stuff. Go ahead.
No. As I say, what they did wrong, and we talked, I did a YouTube video about this. I'll send you the link later. It's the Venn diagram. You got 3 circles. You got Star Wars fans, you got rich people, and people that love cosplay. So Star Wars fans and people with money would rather buy a really rare artifact, a lightsaber from the movie, a helmet used. People that love Star Wars and like cosplay are usually broke. And people that like cosplay and have money would rather go to, oh, did you know you can stay the night in England in King Arthur's hotel, which is much more better than intergalactic line dancing for $7,000 a head. It's a very niche market right in the middle where you have a rich guy who loves Star Wars, indisposable income, whose family is okay with him spending money on something other than his Bugatti Veyron. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can we stay on Hollywood Studios for a second, though, Joey?
Of course.
We've kind of just discussed a little bit about the mistakes made, closing down Movie Ride, getting rid of the Osborne Festival of Dancing Lights, which was a huge draw
That's
People love
depressing.
that. And it's
Yeah.
just kaput, gone. Obviously they thought the Star Wars land was going to make them a lot of money. I don't believe that's true. You may differ on that. The same thing with Toy Story Land. It's okay. I don't think it's really that great. I think you could have bought, with all the land that they have, you could have built a whole dang new park and just put half of it with Pixar Toy Story rides and the other half with Star Wars, and just put up some name that they thought up as far as Imagineering, and just did the same dang thing they're doing with Hollywood Studios, and then actually kept it with the movie theme. What is your take on Star Wars Land, Toy Story Land, and just the mistakes that they've made at Hollywood Studios? I believe since probably about 2013, 2014, it started.
So what happened is Disney and Universal are obviously in competition.
Sure.
Every time Universal Studios, this goes back to the 1950s. Walt Disney goes to Universal Studios. You got to remember, Walt Disney was a Universal animator. They stole Oswald from him, so he kind of had an axe to grind. You go back to 54, 55, Walt Disney's opening up a park. Universal says, hey, Walt, what's your pitch, man? You're in our backyard. And he goes, what are you talking about? I'm an hour and a half away. Don't even worry about it. Fast forward to 1990, Universal Studios is opening up here in Orlando, and Disney goes, hey, Universal, what's your deal? This is my backyard. And they said, well, 35 years later, payback's a B. It is what it is. So Universal Studios says in 1990, we're opening up. So Disney says, okay, we need to beat them. So they rush opened Hollywood Studios in 1989, and it was billed as a half-day park. There were, 5 attractions? There was Star Wars, Indiana Jones, the Great Movie Ride, the Backlot Tour, and something tiny. I think just a bunch of meet and greets or something. So they were like, it was $30 to get in, and they're like, look, we're only going to entertain you for half a day. Problem was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They didn't do anything to it. So this park, Magic Kingdom, to this day holds like 108,000 people. Hollywood Studios only held like 66,000 people. So who wants to go to a park that's overcrowded and understaffed? So it needed something. They put Star Wars there, and the only reason I can think of putting Star Wars there is because it's a movie and the park is movie themed. But the truth is, they paid $4 billion for Star Wars. So you got to do something with it. Why not just give it its own theme park? The nerds love it, man. If you go to Star Wars any given day of the year, people are spending $250 for a lightsaber, $165 for a droid. And you got to remember, I'm a tour guide for the theme parks. You know what I'm saying? If I take a family of 4, if I take a mom and dad and 2 kids, if they have the money to spend, 4 people building 4 lightsabers, 4 droids, going to Oga's Cantina, that's a $1,200 to $1,400 afternoon, not day, afternoon. So you figure if that attraction holds 12 people at a time, that's $250. That's $3,000 every 20 minutes they're turning out at that lightsaber build. Think about that. $6,000 an hour, 10 hours, that's $60,000 a day. One kiosk the size of my patio makes $60,000 a day. So Star Wars is making the money. I don't know if it's making the money as fast as they want, but I know it's making money. You know what I mean? But it's making money to people who have indisposable incomes. Joe Thousand Air, who has an annual pass, they're not going to go there. They're not going to spend $2,000 a day. But I don't think we're geared towards them. It's no
listen,
secret.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but they're going to have to be gearing towards these people that live and have an annual pass, live around the area, have an annual pass, because the economy sucks. There's
Amen.
people are going to Disney, but not like they once were. And between the economy and the prices at Disney that just keep going up, up, and up, the quality is just going down, down, down. And people cannot play around with disposable income like they could maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. So they better start caring and catering to the annual pass holders. Otherwise, they're going to get screwed, because I haven't been to Disney in about 4 months. I'm out of state. I'm going to be going back down in a month. But my issue is from what I'm hearing from people that are going to the parks consistently, from watching these videos of these live streams, I'm not seeing a lot of people at a lot of these parks. I'm talking Epcot, Studios, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom. It doesn't matter. You are there more so than I am as of right now, so you would know better. But Is that true?
Yeah.
You think? Okay.
It's you go back even a year before COVID. Let's go to like 2017, 2018. You'd go to the park. I was doing some real work, man. I was running to get people on rides and sprinting to get people on rides. You know, you had to wake your family. You were like, hey, guys, just a heads up. Star Wars Land opens at 6 a.m., so they crack the gates at 4:45 a.m. I know what you're thinking, but it is what it is. If we want to do every ride at Hollywood Studios, you have to be in the parking lot to Hollywood Studios at 4:15 a.m. We will be done by noon, but you got to be there at 4:15 a.m. Now it's like, hey, if you guys want to show up at 9 o'clock, I'll see you at 9 o'clock. It's not a big deal. We can do whatever you want, however you want. It's not as busy. Whereas Universal Studios, they love their annual pass holders. Free magnets, Universal annual pass holder lounge, hangout area, free things, 30% off on merchandise. Universal Studios has they realized what it takes to stay successful in Orlando. You gotta love your locals. See, there's a famous yin yang, which is of course two sides of the coin, being that at Disneyland in California, any given day of the year, 70% of the people in those parks are Californians and 30% are from out of states. Whereas at Disney World, only 30% of the people in the parks are Floridians. So Disney is thinking, well, we don't even need our locals to make ends meet until the little known month. It's a very popular month. It's called September rolled around. Nobody comes to Florida in September because it's hot, it's muggy, and their kids are in school. And Disney says, we have no idea why the parks are empty. How come there's only 13 people in the park today? And it's like, well, because you don't do anything for annual pass holders. Universal Studios does Halloween Horror Nights. And if you're an annual pass holder, you get discounts on everything. Next Saturday, me and my wife are going to Universal Studios does a garage sale every year where you have to be an annual pass holder to get in. And they sell all the stuff that didn't really do too well during the year for like 50% off.
So it's like a Pass Connections, but for annual pass holders.
Yes, sir. Exactly. And it's just Universal is not afraid to, even their Twitter feed. I remember one day I was in the park at Universal Studios and their Twitter feed, they showed a picture of Optimus Prime's hand. And it said, you know, hey guys, where are we at? First 5 people here win a prize. And it was a fun coincidence. I was at Men in Black. So I said, oh my gosh, that's Transformers. I know where that is. I jogged over. I was the second person there. They took a picture of me and they gave me a Transformers Blu-ray box set and said, thank you for finding Optimus Prime. Here you go. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Yeah. I don't think it made him a dime, but it was just kind of cool, you know? And so they love that. And it's like Universal Studios, their PR and marketing department for their annual pass holders. We know them. They're the same 10 people. You'll see them walk around the park. They're celebrities. I remember, I would rather get my picture with those guys than with Shrek, than the Minions. Whereas, you know what I mean? Whereas at Disney World, you try to meet like another famous paisan, Josh DeMario was there, you know, a big high-ranking official at Disney. He was there. I went to meet him. There was nobody even talking to him. And I'm like, this guy's pretty famous. And they're like, oh yeah, he's just, I'm like, no. If you love Disney, this guy is like, fear and respect this man. Why is there not a line to meet him? You know what I mean? So I feel like Disney is more of a nameless, faceless corporation, whereas Universal, they're like your buddy.
I think there's a lot of people that are not really fans of Josh DeMario also.
I get it. His name ends in a vowel. He's one of ours. I got to be nice.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know if it's particularly because of that. I think it's because the money that's not being put into the parks and all these big expansions that they're pushing out at the D23s that never come about. And closing down great attractions like the Great Movie Ride, which they didn't have to do.
Sucked.
So
Turner Classic Movies snagged the Great Movie Ride. Why did they lose that partnership? If Turner Classic Movies would have hung on to the Great Movie Ride and just been like, hey, this is great advertising. Every year we're going to throw $5 million at you. Fix something.
It wasn't Turner. Disney stepped away from that sponsorship after the 2 years. The contract was up. Okay. They stepped away. It wasn't TCM. That was TCM. They didn't walk away. Disney walked away, and it seemed like they wanted to put that Mickey's Runaway Rail ride in there.
Can we? If we're talking about Mickey's Runaway Railway, I'm pretty sure whoever designed that has worse OCD than like Michael Bay. I try to describe that ride to families. They're like, "What's Mickey's Runaway Railway?" And I'm like, "All right, so here's the deal. You're in a train. The train goes wrong, and it puts you in a carnival." And then for some weird reason, a tornado picks you up and throws you into a volcano. and then you're underwater, and then you're in New York, and Daisy teaches you how to dance. And there is no continuity to that ride. That ride should just be called ADHD the ride.
So I want to ask you this because we got this as an audience question to ask you. Where do you feel like this all went wrong for Disney? Because the stock price is really tanking right now. The attendance in the parks is really down. Is this Michael Iger's fault when he stepped in after Eisner was in there? And I know a lot of people had problems with Eisner. Honestly, between him and Iger, I think that he's done a way better job than Iger's done. I mean, it's just but just the Disney Plus issue with the movie deal, not a good deal. We've seen that throughout the years. Again, we spoke about the parks empty, the mistakes at studios, the stock prices down, the woke issues with DeSantis and Disney, and also the Genie Plus. You just spoke earlier about Disney not caring about the annual pass holders or their, people in general that come to the parks. Universal, even though they charged for that pass, it was always the same price. It wasn't going up and down in the days and the peak and all this other crap. And that was the one good thing about Disney, Joey, was that the Fast Pass Plus was free. That was the one thing you could get for Disney free, was that Fast Pass, those 3 passes that you could get, and there was no problem. Now it's a pay game. It's a money game at Disney, and that's why I'm really fed up. And I think Universal's on the up and up, and eventually, maybe within the next 10, 15 years, they might go right past Disney if they don't get their act together.
Well, Epic Universe is going to set the bar high. For the longest time, Disney, 1971, they were it. 82, they were it. 1990, we got a little competition. If you want to go pet a dolphin and go upside down on a roller coaster, you got SeaWorld. If you don't mind driving 18 hours, to get 3 miles down I-4, you got Busch Gardens. And Universal's there. Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. They're a cute park. They got Nickelodeon Studios and a giant Hard Rock. No big deal. Fast forward to 2000. Okay, so Universal Studios is a resort now. It's got a couple of parks. It's got a few gorgeous hotels. The Hard Rock's the only 5-diamond resort. Okay, now we're whatever. It's no big deal. Universal's opening Epic Universe now. It is possible that between Universal, Islands of Adventure, where I am today, Volcano Bay, their water park, which is debatably, if not definitely, the best water park in Orlando, and Epic Universe, you could technically do a 4 to 5 day vacation and never even need to go to Disney. So they're at that point where Universal's like, we've upped our standards, so up yours. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's very curious to see what the next step is. So Disney needs to figure out what their niche market is. It used to be the annual pass holders, but now the annual pass holders, it's love lost, man. Like you said, too many things are costing money at Disney. The only thing at Disney is free is water and oxygen, and the water is crap. It's have you ever used a Disney water fountain? It's no. Atrocious. They're like, they put in those things where like you put your water bottle under it, you hit the button and it fills your water bottle, but the water's not filtered. It's that iron oxide water. At Universal, you bring your water bottle. They use those Coca-Cola Freestyle machines. They're like, oh, do you want water? You can use our Freestyle machines to get filtered water. Like, good Lord, even the water's better at Universal. Come on, Disney. You can't even give us good water.
There's no Fast Pass Plus. There's no Magic Bands for free. It's really a joke. And this really got bad when COVID started. The reservation system, Universal had it at the beginning. Then they got rid of it right away. Disney is still, even though you can get in pretty much any day now, but they're still leeching on to this reservation system, which helps them with how many employees they need to have in parks and resorts. That's all it's about. It's just a big money game that they're worried about spending money, or they're worrying about giving things away. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, as a person, I know that you're an annual pass holder. Back in the 2014, 15, 16, you could go to Epcot at Food and Wine Festival. If you were an annual pass holder, you would show your ticket, and when you got in there, they would give you a free wine glass. It said Epcot Food and Wine, whatever the year was. Yeah. And you could go in as many times as you want. You could only get like one a day, but you could keep going and going and going if you went there every day and get them. And now you're lucky if they give you a magnet.
All right, let's talk. Let me tell you about the magnets. Here's what kills me. I live in Florida. I don't know if you know this about Florida. It's hot. There is a lot of sun. Have you ever put a magnet on the back of your car? Do you know what happens after about a week and a half? It melts to the back of your car. I'm so sick of Disney giving me magnets and telling me it's a present. No, it's not. You're scarring my car with your god-awful tattoo. I know what you're doing, Disney. How dare you? Universal Studios has got it figured out. I'm telling you,
What
man.
does
Universal's like,
Universal
here's
do?
some cool collectible stuff. Universal's awesome, and the Universal has an annual pass holder lounge you can go in. It's air conditioned. You can charge your phone. And what I love is that they do stuff that you can only get if you're an annual pass holder. Like even now, with it being Halloween Horror Nights, if you go to the Universal annual pass holder lounge, I love it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a flex. You go into the annual pass, or not the annual pass holder lounge. You go into the tribute store, which is where all the Halloween Horror Nights stuff is. You know, for those of you that don't know, Halloween Horror Nights is for 2 months. Universal Studios turns their entire park into a giant haunted house. People love it. The locals love it. We go every night. And you go into this tribute store, which is a brief little tour of all of the houses in a shopping area for people that aren't going to horror nights. You can at least walk around and look. And right at the end of it, there's a big wall. And on that wall, it says, this is stuff for only annual pass holders to buy. It's pretty awesome.
First, can you talk about how the coronavirus in 2020 and 2021 crushed your business? And also after that, how the economy not surging again, still staying pretty stagnant, is still, really hurting your employment.
So the funny thing is most of my clients have made the decisions necessary to secure their revenue stream. I'm not going to call any of my clients out.
Sure.
They just, whatever they're doing it right, and they're very successful. That being said, it's kind of funny when you see things like, I remember during the pandemic wearing a mask to a theme park that was 114 degrees outside. It was like watching a post-apocalyptic movie, bro. Just people crying because they're so hot and so sweaty. You can see their masks going out and out. They're hyperventilating, and it was just miserable. So I don't know if it's the economy that hurt as much as it was just the fact that, you know what I mean? Like people passing out from heat. People are exhausted because they can't breathe through their masks. Their masks are so wet with condensation, they're basically waterboarding themselves. It's like, so I don't know if it was the finances that kept people away or just how uncomfortable it was. Because I kept my annual pass through it, and it was miserable. I hated going to the parks.
Well, we did interview a person that works at Disney still to this day and did fight against the vaccine and the mask mandates at Disney. And we did hear some stories about how Disney treated these people, and it was really kind of disgusting on my end.
It was vile.
Yeah, so we won't get into that, but I do want to continue on with, you're dealing most as far as clients. You dealing with most with business people, celebrities. Who are the people you're mostly dealing with? You don't have to say names, but I'm just saying.
Of course. Thank you for that. No.
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of people that are just at the top of their game, CEOs, CFOs, but it's as small as one of my clients owns a bunch of parking lots. One of my clients is just a very successful real estate broker. I got my fair share of football players. I have a couple of guys that are that play for the NFL. I'm trying to think of how I can describe them without giving it away, obviously, who they are.
That's fair. But you're
one
dealing
guy's an
mostly,
MMA fighter.
So there's a difference between what you're doing at Michael's compared to what Disney does with their VIP stuff and guest relations.
I'll give you the obvious one, man. And the truth is, I'm at the park so much, I know most of these guys. The Disney tour guides, some of them are absolute saints, and I love them. I've known them since they were hourly employees who bid their way up.
Yeah.
Disney loves us. Michael's VIPs is the only third-party tour company that Disney actually endorses. They used to call us back in the day. I remember 14 years ago when I started doing this, if Disney ran out of tour guides, they would call Michael. And they would say, hey, man, do you have anybody available? Yeah, it was awesome. They're a wonderful company. But the difference between us and Disney, if you go on tour with a Disney tour guide, whatever you want. Hey, my kid wants to do Buzz Lightyear. Okay, they walk over to Buzz Lightyear. They put you in the lightning lane. Hey, my kid wants to do Space Mountain. Okay, Hey, they like Space Mountain so much they want to do it again. Okay. With Michael's VIPs, we can't do that. We can do every ride, but you have to do it in the order that we pick because we know how
So
to
you're
properly
going off the
navigate the park.
weights.
Yes. Well, we're going off the weights, the lightning lanes, and just park knowledge. I'll give you a free one. We know that at approximately 10:10 a.m. over at the Speedway, you know how there's 4 lanes to the Speedway?
Yeah.
At about 10:10 a.m., they open rows 2, 3, and 4. So if at 10:07 a.m. there's a 40-minute wait, we know that we can still jump in that line because in 3 minutes, all of a sudden they're going to open 4 lanes and the line's going to go to a 10-minute wait. So there's a free one for your guests.
Okay.
But
No, thank you for that.
we yes, sir. We know facts like that for every ride.
Wow.
It's just study, man. I didn't date a lot in high school. It gave me time to read. I'm kidding. I don't read.
So let me ask you this. So what park is the toughest to do this with? I'm assuming it's Magic Kingdom then,
Yeah.
correct?
Well, Magic Kingdom has more lightning lane attractions than the other 3 parks combined.
Right.
So Magic Kingdom's the toughest to do. The toughest to do on paper because it makes sense. It's tough to do if you want to do everything. If you just want to do the good stuff, Magic Kingdom's no problem at all. Hollywood
But are you dealing with
Studios
a lot of these people because they are more well off than, you know, probably the people that aren't? They're just buying the lightning lanes and just saying, screw it.
Hang on, we're going to move. There's a screaming kid in the corner over here. Let's move over to a more quiet area.
Sure thing.
So the deal is with my clients, it's not so much in just being well off. It's that they don't want to think. You know, it's like my dad used to say, man, we're on vacation. If I have to think, I'm not on vacation. If I have to look at my phone, I'm not on vacation. If I have to deal with your mother for another 5 minutes, I'm not on vacation. And that being said, he's on his 3rd wife now. So there was a whole thing there that we won't talk about. So the point is, I'm here so that you don't have to deal. You know what I'm saying? If you look at a dad who's a stockbroker and all he does is stare at his phone to the point where his eyes are bleeding, the fact that he doesn't even have to take his phone out of his pocket, that's worth me. That's worth my company. You know, that's worth the
Disney has
$2.50 an
made
hour.
the vacation experience so much that you should be on the phone with the lightning lanes and worrying about the wait times and stuff. It's not a fun experience anymore. It's just you gotta be on your phone all day. I think that's why they sell those cell phone charge things, those little charge up things.
Dude, we can talk about that one day. There's a whole lawsuit there because Disney offered them for free for life. And that company came back and said, hey, just a heads up, every time you get a new one, it's $2. Oh man, that was a whole thing.
Whoa. So hold on, because I've seen people that do the live streams and they go up there and they'll use it for 30 minutes, an hour, and they, even though it's not dead, they go and, you know, get another one. So it's not free to do another one. You have to pay $2 every time.
It is now.
Oh,
it's for a while. It was free, and then they did it at Universal. They did it at SeaWorld. They do it in the airport, but it's $2 to get a new one. They went to Disney and said, hey, we want $2 every time. They're like, oh, no. So I want to say it was $2 for like a month, and then it was right back to free.
Wow.
So, but that, again, that's a whole, we can have that conversation another time. That's a whole, that we were talking about the Disney stock options. But so that's really what it is. So Disney's made it so that, like, realistically, you take what I do for a living. I'm not saying anybody could do it. I'm saying if you're a mother of 3 and you and your husband or your partner and your kids are going to Disney and you do your homework and you study meticulously, you can do what I do. But guess what? You're not on vacation at that point. You're not going to have fun. Not even
just that.
You're not going to get to ride the rides with the kids.
No, not even just that. I'm sure you have to do some studying as far as the days, the months, you know, as far as the rides and and all this stuff. Well, so it's not
that's what I'm saying. Like,
go ahead.
100%. If you want to be the quote unquote tour guide for your family, you can do it, but it's not going to be as good as, I'm not going to brag, it's not going to be as good as what my company does.
Sure.
And you're not going to have fun. You're not going to get to do anything. You know, while your family's on Peter Pan, you need to stand outside and make sure you're not on the Wi-Fi so that you can hopefully book a lightning lane for Thunder Mountain. Because if you miss Thunder Mountain, then you got to grab Space. And if you miss Space, you're hoping to God you can at least get Buzz Lightyear. And then while your family's on Buzz Lightyear, you're trying to find a lightning lane for anything. You know what I mean? So If it means that much to you, then yeah, you go be the tour guide. And when the vacation's over, you can look at the pictures because you didn't get to do anything. So your vacation is you saved $1,500 and you needed a vacation for your vacation because you didn't actually get to enjoy it.
What is the easiest park to do, and also the easiest month to do that parking? I'm assuming it's something like Hollywood Studios because it's got the least amount of rides. And if you do
No, Animal Kingdom in September. It's muggy. Really? It's gross. The whole park should be sponsored by Zyzal or Allegra because if you have allergies, you're doomed. Because if it grows or lives, it's in that park. And Animal Kingdom only has 5 rides. You do the Avatar ride that's good, the Avatar ride that's boring, the Safari, Expedition Everest, the Dinosaur. Grab lunch. Yeah, you go watch Festival of the Lion King. You have lunch. You're done by noon.
Done by noon?
That's the park where... Oh, yeah. I can't tell you the last time I was in Animal Kingdom after 11:30, 11:35. I have the entire park done in 2.5, 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm that good. I'm that good.
But what are you? But so people, I guess if you're pretty well off, you don't really care. But I'm thinking if I paid whatever, almost $200 a ticket, and if I got a family 4, 5, 6 people, I don't really want to pay all that money for just 2 hours.
You do if you spent $3,200 a night on your hotel room and your kids want to go swimming. Yep, I know.
Yeah, I guess
you're not at the park to do
that when you don't have that kind of cash. But
dude, I had a client, and again, I'll never name drop, but he's one of the nicest guys in the world. I've been taking him on tours for 14 years now. He came to Universal Studios, and he put everything on his room charge. He did. Universal Studios does a thing where if you have an annual pass, you get free express pass after 4 p.m., which is kind of a nice perk. Again, Universal loves their annual pass holders. So after 4 p.m., you get free express pass. And he goes, hey, so I don't want to go to the park too early in the morning. I want to sleep in. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna buy everybody in my family an annual pass, and we'll go to the park at 4. Is that okay? I said, okay, no problem. He buys 8 annual passes for his family. 8. They don't start until there was a party of 8. Just for this trip for 4 days. We started every day at 4 p.m. We only went to the park for 2 hours because they only wanted to do a couple of rides. They ate at a gorgeous restaurant, went and saw a movie, saw a show, played miniature golf. At the end of his trip, 5 days, he calls me. His room charge was $47,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope he had that kind of cash.
Oh, you kidding me, dude? Not even. Oh my gosh. He's like, yeah, I guess I got to work an extra hour tomorrow. Like, it didn't even faze him. I love this dude. He's my hero. I wish I was this man. But it's just like, you know what I mean? That is the one problem I always joke about. People are always, once our article dropped in the Wall Street Journal, once our article hit Business Week, Insider, we got just as many calls for clients as we did from people that are like, hey, are you hiring? And the first thing I tell people when they start this job, it's like, keep in mind, you are not your clients. You're going to see the way these people live, and all of a sudden, you're going to have a steak diet. Stay true to the cheeseburger diet, my friend, because once you see how the millionaires live and you realize you don't make that kind of money, you're going to be up to your eyeballs in debt, and I don't wish that on you.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. So are you seeing more people go to Universal that you deal with, or SeaWorld or Disney? Where are the most parks that as far as people that deal with you? Go ahead.
Disney will always be the top of the food chain. Like, let's face it, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. Disney will always be number one. But because I've been doing this for 14 years, Universal Studios openly recommends that your youngest child be 8.5 years old before even going to the park, because it's a lot of big kid rides. So for me, it's all repeat and referral business. Hey, Joey, you took my kids on tour when they were 2, 4, and 6. Now they're 12, 14, and 16. They think princesses are dumb and cartoons are stupid, and they want to go on rides that go upside down. So we go to Universal Studios. So Disney always brings the people in, and Universal keeps them around.
But what about SeaWorld? Because they got a lot of pretty good roller coasters now. No?
Poor SeaWorld, man. The problem with SeaWorld is SeaWorld knows what it is, man. SeaWorld it's the band Rush. You know what I'm saying? Neil Peart, greatest drummer of all time. There's your Disney. Geddy Lee, greatest bass player of all time. There's your Universal. And then there's Alex Lifeson, one of the greatest guitar players of all time. But when the other 2 guys in your band are already famous, you're like, well, I'm good too. That's SeaWorld. SeaWorld is this park that's like, hey, Hey, we're good. We're good. Come on, guys. So you go
But
to
do you
SeaWorld
take
for
people to
God.
SeaWorld or not really?
Yes, I wish I took more people to SeaWorld. SeaWorld's awesome. Their rides are phenomenal. They've got that big circle inner tube roller coaster that drops you 86 feet. It's awesome. The problem is an annual pass to SeaWorld is the same price as a one-day Disney ticket.
Yeah, that's good for me. For
It's good
somebody
for
like
people like
me.
me, but wealthy people come to town and they're like, they don't want to go to a park where they're like, why isn't that guy wearing shoes? That's gross. You know what I mean? It's
Oh,
just,
oh, I
and
get what you're
SeaWorld lets
saying. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for letting, I don't want to say, SeaWorld lets everybody in for free. SeaWorld's like, oh, you're a teacher. I think they do a discount. Oh, you're
Yeah.
military. You get in for free. You work for Universal. You get in for free. They're like, please come here. We need people in this park. It's dead. Please visit us. And it's a shame because the park is great. I'm
Is
pretty sure
SeaWorld
they
doing
change
better though than it
CEOs
used?
like I change underwear.
Is SeaWorld doing sorry. Is SeaWorld doing better now, Joey, than they used to do in the past from the times that you've been there recently?
It's SeaWorld is your favorite mall when you're a kid in the 90s, man. It's just if you have an annual pass, you go, you grab a beer, you see your favorite show, you see if your buddy's working, you do a roller coaster, you leave. And that's the problem with SeaWorld. Is SeaWorld, they don't do enough business internally. Like I know annual pass holders that'll bring 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and 3 bottles of water. They don't spend a dime. And that's the problem is you can go to SeaWorld, not spend a dime.
Yeah.
How's that for a business model? How do you pitch that to stockholders?
So let's end here. I wanted
Okay.
you to just give out some information about Michael's. If
Sure.
people do want to get in touch with you as far as that goes, and we'll definitely have you on again because you know a lot, and I really enjoy the back and forth that we've had, and I think we're somewhat on the same page with a lot of these issues, whether it's Disney or Universal or SeaWorld in
Thousand
general.
percent, buddy. 1,000%. Absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you.
So
So
could you? Yeah, go
again,
ahead.
I was saying
Sorry,
I'm
there's a
Joey.
little bit of a
Joey Mazzant. You're good,
delay.
bro.
That's why.
That's all right. Next time, like I said, for everybody that's listened, that's heard the tiny bubbles and the Hawaiian music in the background. I apologize. Me and my wife are on a date at Volcano Bay today. Come on down, hang out with me. You can find me online. If you type in Joey Mazzant, the last name's got 2 Z's like pizza. Come visit me. Come hang out. My Instagram, I know it's private. That's only because everybody who follows me are families that I've taken on tour. So I very tightly monitor my Instagram. It's very G-rated and kid-friendly. So there's nothing there that'll scare you or shock you. My YouTube channel, yeah, that's a helicopter, I know, right? My YouTube channel, Joey Mazzant, is, again, just me at the theme parks playing. You're welcome to come see me and hang out. Michael's VIPs, if you Google Michael's VIPs, you'll see us. You can read all of our reports and all of our client reviews and things like that. And just mention that where you heard me, and I'll make sure that you know that people are listening and loving what you do, bro.
Again, Michael's VIPs, definitely check them out. Joey Mazzant, I mean, we kind of jumped all over the place in this interview, but I think if people want to listen to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 interview, as far as questions, they're going to the wrong place, especially today. But Joey, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to having you on at least once a month. I think we got to make that because a lot of people are interested in what's going on in Orlando and the nits and crannies of
Okay.
Disney and Universal. And I think you're a person that can really tell the story as far as that goes. Again, at the Joey Mazzant on Instagram, on YouTube and TikTok, Joey Mazzant, Mazzant. Joey, thanks so much.
Thank you, brother.